And today, you get to ask the questions. And Tony, just an FYI, we totally forgot to say this. You're probably going to get hit up by about 150 salespeople at the end of this meeting today.
Most people do. Any assistance with moving forward.
Today is the day you get to ask the questions that really matter, that help you achieve your goals in sales and serving clients.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
You know, these middle weeks are becoming so much fun.
Yes.
Just the conversations that we have, and we're able to bring so many customers, shippers, manufacturers, that kind of stuff on to really share their insights and really help you, the sales rep, be better at what you do. You know, there's nothing worse than, as John Brewer says, being pitch slapped all the time into.
I love John.
Oh, he's awesome, isn't he? Isn't he?
John is awesome.
Yeah, and he's
shout out, John,
you know. Yeah, John, if you're watching, shout out, absolutely. Because there is a really good way to start the sale, to see if you can connect and really to deliver on the value, which is the customer goal attainment. So today we've got Tony Darnell with us, and Tony. Before we go there, we have again. So Richard, good morning. Lisa, good morning. I don't know where Jeff is, but Lisa won hands down this morning.
Okay.
Good
Jeff,
morning.
We had a new
tied with Richard on my end.
I mean, Richard was 1 second off, so Richard almost took the spot today. So
yeah, I got him tied on my end.
Ah, okay.
So, but Jeff sent me a message beforehand saying, "Okay, boys, I'm bringing the heat today," and he's nowhere to be seen. So I don't know if his internet went down. But Restream can sometimes cause some of those issues. So, yes. Tony, before we get going, my friend, really, really interesting as to the reason you got into logistics. And I've never heard this one before, and I absolutely love it. So can you just share with the crowd, give them a little bit of background on yourself, where you've been, where you're from, your history in logistics, and then we'll get rocking.
All right. So the nutshell version is my dad was a truck driver after being an entrepreneur successfully for a long time. He was in a welder at a tool and die shop before that, and ended up getting into horse hauling. After I live in the town that we make the Hummer, the military Hummer in the town I live in, and my dad hauled those all over the place. He was going to military bases and stuff. I thought it was really cool. You know, a kid loved Army trucks.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I hate formal wear. We had horses, and you know, my dad's this blue collar guy. My mom worked at a corporate office, and I didn't like the dress codes. I really got into logistics because I could wear comfortable clothes, and you know, when you're leading a team of truck drivers and dock workers, you know, when you come out in a suit, you automatically are discredited. Like, you don't know what you're doing. And so, yeah, a lot of what I got into it for was the dress code. And I am unashamed about that. I'm a polo guy, a flannel guy. I wear jeans daily. That's about as formal as it gets. You know, if there's an event or something, like some made up award that TJ gives me, it may be a jacket.
Nice. I love that you got into logistics because you were able to just wear comfy clothes. I think that is super cool.
My kind of guy, Tony. Listen,
hey, this is formal right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. For me, this is formal.
Yeah, this too.
And for DJ, if it doesn't say Cleveland, he doesn't
wear
it.
If it doesn't say Cleveland, I'm not on air right now.
I'm sure he's embroidered Cleveland or got it stamped on the inside of a jacket if he ever has to wear it.
Nice. Oh, stop it.
Cleveland rocks.
Listen, it just needs to say sales chatter. Then, hey, thank you for that. Cleveland does rock.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I love the fact that you've been on pretty much almost every end of the supply chain, right? You've been a driver. You worked as a broker for a minute or two. Now you're on the shipper end. So the big question that we typically start with is, what's been the last 2 years look like for you?
Panic. As a shipper, it's been panic, and how much higher can the prices get? And I find that hilarious that it's been like 8 seconds since we're talking about record rates to now nobody can operate in this economy. And I'm dying because what did you do with all the money that you've been raking in for the last 2 years, guys? Mm-hmm. Don't tell me how bad it is today when it's been so bad for me the last 2 years. You know, I get part of my review and evaluation on my performance as a shipper is cost. And mm-hmm. I have this crazy notion that I have to sell to the C-suite guys why the cost is ridiculous. And due to the pandemic, everybody kind of understands right now, but it's only been like 2 weeks since rates started coming down, softening just a little bit. And we're hearing panic from carriers about how they can't operate in this condition. And I hope to God that you saved some of that money or paid off some trucks or, something, because there's still plenty of volume out there.
Dean's often said numerous times for probably the last year, put away money as a carrier. And he's consistently said it on Data Day Wednesdays. Guys, when it's good, put money away because it's a roller coaster, right? Like in essence, all of logistics is a roller coaster. We felt it when ELDs came out. I mean, maybe not to this extent, but we felt it when ELDs came out. ELDs didn't really hit ocean. 90% of what we touch as an OTR carrier has touched an ocean container. The economics and the chain of events is typically always there. But it's interesting how when things are good, there's little to no chatter. But when things get bad, people start really speaking up. And, this is one reason why DJ and I said we really want to have the people that are on the shipping side, the manufacturing side, the distribution side on the show, because it really does give salespeople an opportunity to step into your shoes. If you can, without exposing too many trade secrets, can you share how much your cost has increased, if by a percentage or a times number, to give people kind of an idea as to, what costing is actually doing to you?
He might be having some technical difficulties.
I'm having trouble, guys.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No worries. You wanna put him backstage so he gets.
There we go. Tony will be back. It's funny. It's the restream sometimes when you, especially when you're on cell phone.
I'll tell you, to sidebar. So Jeff just messaged me. So he's on one of our channels, but it's not showing up. So even one of the channels right now is not showing up with messages because he said, "Do you see my messages?" This is actually not the first time. My mom just brought this up on the other day. She said Facebook, no messages are showing up because she was messaging there.
It's funny you say that because I'm seeing questions when I go in afterwards, and I'm like, where did that question was? And it was actually a couple of questions or
restream
comments like Drew Pearson. He put one just the other day, Thursday or Friday. I answered him after, but it didn't show up live. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So something's going on with the connection of the channels and whatever's going on there.
Because we're not seeing Jeff's messages at all.
No.
Richard says tech gremlins. Yes. Speaking of gremlins, did you guys know that Howie Mandel was the voice of Gizmo?
What?
Yeah. Total sidebar. But so my wife and I are watching this show called Bullshit. It's Howie Mandel's game show on Netflix. And he's the actual voice of Gizmo from Gremlins. Yeah. Pretty cool. I never knew that.
That is crazy. I did not know
sidebar.
That.
Nothing to do with logistics. Totally just aged myself, but that's okay. Okay. So one of the big things, we'll wait for Tony to get back in, but one of the big things and the reason why DJ and I ask all these questions is because to really give y'all that backstage pass to what's the mindset of the people you're calling. Right. And it was interesting. Didn't you find that real interesting when Tony's first response was, "Hey guys, for 2.5 years or 2 years, we've been paying prices that in essence, like are way higher. And 2 weeks rates are dropping and he's hearing complaining." Be interesting because I'd love to see what the stats that Dean has.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to say, I think, one guys, anybody who is listening to this, catching this later, when we have clients on, listen to one of the things he said. Again, he said the cost. He is evaluated, which I guarantee you, if you haven't asked your clients that you're working with, which you should be asking, cost is a big thing that is going to affect their job, whether they have a job or they don't have a job. So that is one thing they're very, very conscious of. So coming in and saying you could drop the rates and then not actually having a truck or doing that kind of stuff is what gets them in trouble. So listening to
Well,
your
not only that,
clients
I
and
think it gives
listening,
everybody
getting
a
that,
bad
like
name.
what it gives them, but listen, like Dan, like you said, this is your inside. This is how these clients are the guards down because we're not here trying to sell them. You have to do that same approach. Give them this platform to give you the information that you need to help them. Don't.
Well, yeah,
I think that's the
and not
biggest
only
key.
that, I mean, that's key. Education, sharing with your customers what's happening in the markets they serve, because they might not, especially now, and when Tony comes back, we'll ask him about that time piece, because we've had John, we've had Greg, every single customer we've had on has said, like, time is of the essence. I'm spending, Greg was spending 20 hours a week off campus, I'm going to say, but off work schedules, just to create visibility in his supply chain. John was saying he does 60% more now than he's ever done before. So when it comes to that time constraint, I mean, that's something none of us can ever get back, right? Like,
And
costing
time's the
will
most
go up and
valuable thing
down.
we
We
have,
can get
guys.
costing. Yeah, costing can go up and down. We can get costing back. Capacity will go up and down. It'll come and go. But time will never. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of time he does not have. And here's, and I know I've shared this story many times, but there's been multiple clients now who get approached by people, and cost is having them have the conversation. It really is. And DJ, I know we talk a lot about the whole, service value and all that. Cost has to be a part of it in today's market. It has to be. And I've never been the person to say sell on cost ever, because I think it's a horrible way to sell. But the reality is, you can have the best possible service. You can help every customer achieve any goal they want. And if you're $500 higher a load, you will never get the opportunity to show them. Is there customers out there that say, yes, you know what, the cost is the cost and we'll do it for sure? Is there times out there where I see costs double what they're presently paying, and there's a consideration to go for it? Yes. But in the end, like Tony, cost is a big valuation. When you look at getting product to market, the freight end of it is a huge piece of the profitability puzzle for every company. It might be less of a piece for a pharmaceutical company than it is for a plastics company, so that there's variables, right, that we have. Pharmaceuticals, it's multi-million-dollar purchases for a truckload. That freight cost is like, right? But plastics, especially if you're doing like regrinded plastic, if recycled stuff, like all of this, what's the value in it that's going to get you the opportunity to, be extremely profitable? There's huge things when it comes to that. Huge.
Jeff is still trying to leave. He's on a different channel, but nothing's coming in. So that's
tell
awesome.
him. Get him.
Yeah, he dropped out. Went somewhere else.
You sound like Howie Mandel, Dan.
You
well,
do.
Thank you. Thank you. I like Howie Mandel. I think he's awesome. He's got great facial expressions, and he's an awesome dude. And he's Canadian.
Another great thing, Tony. Before, is he still struggling?
I don't know. I'm trying to keep the show going as opposed to. My internet was interrupted by a call, and I have to be out on the floor to get this situation. The carrier is here for a CPU material, and it's not completed due to my order entry error. I apologize. So Tony's not going to be able to come back. So no problem.
No worries.
He got a. That's the thing, right? When you're on with a cell phone, he got a call. So that's a shame, because I was. You know what? We'll get Tony on in the next week or two or even DJ, if he's not available, we'll do a video recording with him, ask him the questions, and bring it back. The problem is that typically y'all won't be able to ask them the question. So we'll see what we can do to get that back on. What I would say is I would get Jeff to jump on a different channel.
Yeah.
So whoever's not able, I guess if you're not able to see this,
just
and
pick
you're
a
not on the
different
channel.
stream. It looks like LinkedIn's the only one that might be working. So pick either Dan or my LinkedIn.
And it's funny because my channels, if I view them, it says it's going, it's happening. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I don't know.
whatever.
It's crazy.
It's all good.
But anyway, to jump back to one thing Tony did bring up that again, just me being new to this industry, Dan, I don't know. Did you ever think of it this way? But I think this is one thing going back to what Dean always tells people. The market and that's where I think it's a market, guys. We got to remember that. Just like a stock market, just like the housing market, I think the logistics industry is a market, and it is so up and down crazy just in the past 5 years that I've been involved in it, that I mean, us salespeople, we're kind of used to that. Commission, anybody who's been in commission for a long time, you have big months, especially if you've done any long-term or big high-ticket sales. Pharmaceutical salespeople, you know what I'm talking about. But you could have months of doing $300,000 and then go 6 months and not sell anything. So you have to store some of those nuts away. And that's what Dean keeps telling everybody. That's what that's what you were just bringing up with the market. But I think that's one thing. It feels like in the logistics industry, we forget that it's a market, and it is so volatile of just all these little changes can just change so much.
They really can. And it's even more volatile on the asset end, because we also, as brokers, as intermediaries, as the third party, as the middlemen, whatever the verbiage is you want to use, it doesn't matter. We have a specific overhead, right? So as a broker, if you're a solopreneur, you move 5 loads this week, you move 2 loads next week, you move 10 loads the week after, you move 1 load the week after. Your cost is still the same. As a carrier, it's a very different story, because you not only have your rolling cost, you have your depreciation cost, you have your mechanics cost. There's so many variables. So a good friend of mine used to be the head safety and compliance and maintenance guy at a major carrier in Canada. And he said, Dan, it comes to the point even, and it was like, he's always been really cool in not sharing trade secrets, like company secrets, but sharing information. And he says, to the point where we had a customer that was way up in the mountains. Coming down the mountains, we actually had a tire dealer where we pre-purchased tires at the bottom of the mountain, because about 35 to 40% of our trucks would blow tires coming down the mountain. And he said, so we had to strategically position it. He goes, now a tire in the city where we are, much cheaper than a tire out in the mountains. Goes, so that variable can add up. If 30% of your trucks the tires are heating up so much because you're braking so hard coming down hills, he goes, you're talking brake jobs, you're talking trailer brakes, all of this has to be housed at this facility, because he said that the challenge was they didn't always necessarily have it. So now the driver could be down for 2 days waiting for parts to come in. So there's all these variables that as brokers we never ever see. I mean, when I was at Transcend, we had tire and brake and parts people on every single lane, almost every 150 miles.
Wow.
And think about that. And we pre-bought inventory, so it was cheaper, right? So when you think about that, because we were hauling, electronics from Apple, from Dell, from Microsoft, from all these major companies. Like if we went down, not only that, we had to pre-plan a second driver within 3 hours to meet the first driver.
Wow.
So you're like, when you think of that infrastructure, there's a lot more that goes into it. So high rates means we can do things like this profitably.
Yes.
Now, there's a difference between high rates and things getting softer. I could see carriers getting nervous because of the volatility and how the industry drops like a roller coaster.
Yes.
Right. A lot of industries, they do this. and it's drops, ebbs and flows. But I think in logistics, like especially, there's
Oh
all this talk
yeah,
now
the
about
floor could just be gone in
one
logistics.
morning you wake up
Yeah,
and the floor's
yeah,
gone. Right?
hours.
Like
Again, I think I've shared this story, but I'll never forget it. Moving produce for a produce company, produce stand in New Jersey, but they got all of their stuff from California. We had like 4 or 5 stops along the route, and I mean, just in the matter of hours, it went from it would cost us 5-6 grand to 16.
yeah, produce
And
is
just
huge,
boom, just
huge like that.
boom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
All
crazy.
those markets are huge.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, DJ. They're throwing around the R word for 2023. Right, going into a recession. If you've lived in logistics in any recession, we're the first ones to be hit, and we're the first ones to come back. Like we can literally tell you if things are going to drop, and inflation and everything, and the way it is. So I see why. I really do see why carriers are getting nervous,
I would.
because
I would.
everything is going one way and pricing is going another, and it's a very fast. And we'll have this conversation with Tony, because his dad owned a trucking company. He's been a truck driver. He understands cost, and it could in a split second turn. Like if you're paying 4 cents a mile more in fuel, 6 cents a mile more in fuel, and you're still running thousands of miles a week, that adds up. Yeah. And if you're losing 12 cents a mile on a lane and paying 6 cents a mile more, right? You're a 19-cent deficit.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Per mile.
Yeah.
And you're doing 4,000 miles a week times 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000 trucks. Like you think about those volumes for a second. None of all of your costs are rising. So employee costs are rising, insurance costs are rising. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's very fast. I mean, I've shared this story before. I have good friends own trucking companies. They parked almost 2/3 of their fleet and brokered the freight out, and they made more money than running the 2/3 of their fleet. So they ran a local division. They ran their profitable lanes. They furloughed drivers. They parked trucks. So sure, they had the insurance on them, and they had the actual truck cost on, like the payments on them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, then maintenance, depreciation, all that kind of stuff kicked in. But the rolling miles, they weren't losing money on. And so they did that. Now, was it a bit of a struggle when things started happening and drivers got short on supply? For sure. So you're kind of, it's the opposite reaction of everything that happens, right?
Yeah.
But it was what they did.
But it's those little hidden things. It's those little hidden things that a few pennies sounds like nothing, but when you add it up over miles or trips or loads, I mean,
it adds up huge.
It's a huge difference.
And I'll give you a personal example. So since I got my truck, I've put over this week sometime I'll have put over $600 in fuel in. Okay. Don't go very far. I got the truck mid-April. So in 2 months, I'll be putting, call it 2 months, because probably by the end of this week I'll put fuel in. $600 in fuel. That $600 when I had my other vehicle would have taken me probably 8 or 9 months. Like, no joke. And I'm actually, like, I'm not talking today's prices. I'm talking the prices that were plus the fuel. So in my situation, I'm up 800%, somewhere around there, in my costs. And I work from home. I don't go very far, right? 800%. Now think of that if I still worked in the city and I was doing 250 kilometers a day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Crazy. If the kids were still in hockey and we were traveling all over Southern Ontario for hockey. If my daughter was still in baseball and we were traveling all over Southern Ontario for baseball. We've got friends and and everything's rising.
Yeah.
And it's, there's already been talk. Oh, all these costs are going up, but my pay is not going up. Right. So, I mean, and again, it's one of these things. It is what it is. The cost is the cost. I chose to get a truck. That's the cost. It is what it is. So if, when we make these choices, we have to live with that backside of it. So Jeff is actually on. So Jeff, you're on YouTube right now, and you're working.
And it's working. So
LinkedIn
LinkedIn
he says
is
LinkedIn is not working. Interesting.
LinkedIn, I will say, anybody else, shout out if you guys are still on here. We don't know who's still here or not, but if you are still, LinkedIn for the past week or so on my phone has been really having an issue even loading. Sometimes it just keeps saying no internet.
You
Try
sent me
again.
a
No
message
internet.
asking if LinkedIn was working the other day. You sent me a message.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That was. I couldn't get in that day. I couldn't get into my LinkedIn for probably 3 hours.
Wow. Well, here's your transition into that to the dad lane of the day. So today's lane of the day coming from DAP, our main man, Dean Crook, and his freight market analyst, Christina Ellington. I hope I said that properly. So we've got a high volume lane to talk about today for imports direct to e-commerce warehouses in Allentown that supply the New England deliveries for overnight. That is from a dry van from Charleston, South Carolina to Allentown, PA. Line haul rate per mile is $3.26. The rate per mile, including fuel surcharge, is $4. Contracted rate is $4.05. Year over year, line haul is down 34 cents a mile.
Oh, wow.
So line haul rates are trending back up after a low in April of $2.62, 45% a mile higher than May's average. But year over year, we're still down 34 cents. So, you look at that, right? 2021 was probably one of the biggest years for e-commerce. And it doesn't seem to have slowed down. Costs of vacations are up and people are saying, well, I don't care, I'm going on them anyways. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on this and when Dean's here, we'll ask him about the volumes.
Yeah.
Because when we see volumes drop, I think we are going to see a lot of a big shift in that R word that people are starting to throw around.
Yeah.
Because once these volumes drop, then we say, okay, volumes drop, people are stopped and they're not buying as much.
That's the fear. That's the fear.
That is the fear. So I gotta have that happen. Yeah, I gotta give one shout out. So here's and I know a lot of people are like, support local, go to your local shop. And
yes, please.
Which I think is a good thing, DJ. But here's the thing that I think as a shipper, we need to be very, very, very apparent of. And it's not new news. This is not like, oh my God, sky opens up, sun comes down for some breaking news. I was trying to break a bunch of rock in the backyard. And I had like the big, cement saw and jackhammers and this thing wasn't breaking. And I YouTube, how to break 12-inch armor stone in boulders. And this guy on YouTube is in like the back of a farm field somewhere. He's like, you see this? I want this boulder as a face and thing, but I can't take the whole thing. I can only take it half. So he literally has like an impact gun and he drills like 8 holes and puts these wedges in and goes tap, tap, tap. And the whole boulder breaks. I'm like, I need those. So literally grab my phone because a buddy of mine had said wedges. Wedges is the way to go. But I was thinking like those metal chisels that you would buy at like Home Depot and stuff. He's like, no, you need the wedges. So I go on to Amazon. It's like 8 o'clock at night. And I order them. And they were here the next day at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So very little downtime. I researched everywhere. Home Depot didn't have them. Like all the usual places around my area didn't have them. So that e-commerce side, for people that are like, well, yeah, I just want it delivered, is a really big market to pay attention to. Because once that starts dropping, as much as, they say people are going to be outside more, they're going to be in grocery stores. I think the e-commerce side is still going to be really heavy. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know how much you order online. But for me, the convenience
it's convenience. The scale at which we succeed is the problem that we solve. And that's, people are lazy. Let's just be honest. We are lazy and we want things fast. The faster we can have them, that's what it is. And so,
yeah. And we'll get Tony on here as fast as possible, everyone. Again, apologize for all the delays. I only see comments. So I only see my comments and Maggie's last one.
Yeah, Restream and LinkedIn.
EJ's is not pairing. It's funny because I got a notification that you paired your streams.
Yeah, and I seen that it went live, but I don't know.
Yeah, Richard says he's on Dan's LinkedIn. So, anyways, apologize for all of the. And if y'all are watching this,
sorry, y'all. We're
after
gonna figure it out
on the replay. Sorry about all the reference to things not working, but
I will give you a little value and teaser. Dan, back me on this if you agree. But I think so. Now I've seen 3 golden clients that very much match my ICP as far as when it comes to shipping. And there's a few things that I will tell you, secret things that I noticed, and these are just my opinions again. But what I noticed from John Brewer, now Tony Darnell, and also Greg. So they all say they're not salespeople, but they're all secretly very good at it in their own ways, though. They all are blue collar and don't like to dress up, so they're not flashy guys that think they have to fit in some sort of box to show some sort of importance. And so I love that. Great clients, you can tell, and they love what they do. Greg putting in the hours he does. If you check out Tony's LinkedIn, everything is about company, team, his company, what they do. Guys, I'm giving you the secrets. Just look for those things. Check these guys out on LinkedIn.
I never thought of it that way, DJ. That is gold, brother. Gold. So in that gold, did you golden up a quote for today?
I don't know. We'll see. But hey, thank you guys, everybody. Again, sorry for the mix-up and the problems. Hopefully we can get this figured out or restream, or we'll test it out later and figure out what's going on. But thank you for joining us, whoever did. And thank you to American Logistics, Centurion Trucking for making this possible. Thank you to Dat and Dean, of course, Triple D Day. Hopefully we have no issues tomorrow, because I think tomorrow's going to be a great show, guys.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, don't miss it, because we are getting into some crazy times, I think. So don't miss Triple D, our show. Again, rest of the time, guys, 9 a.m. till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Start your day right with us right here, Sales Chatter Live. We will bring some energy for you. Quote to take us out is from actually one of my guys. This is sales training back in the day. I think it was the second guy I went to after Zig Ziglar. So Brian Tracy, shout out to Brian Tracy. But I found that luck is quite predictable. If you want more luck, take more chances, be more active, show up more often.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion